Hey, what's going on? Glad y'all can make it. Today we're going to be talking about My Hero Academia Vigilantes Chapter 111. So if you haven't read the most recent chapter, be sure to read it and then come on back. And if you've never heard of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, it's a 5-year backstory to My Hero Academia. And if you haven't read it, you are seriously missing out because it totally acts as a supplemental read to My Hero Academia. The 3 most recent chapters can be read for free on Viz.com. And the reason why I'm even suggesting something that I'm not clearly sponsored by is because Vigilantes really hasn't experienced that virality exposure that it needs. Because the moment that this manga achieves the virality that it needs, we will see a Vigilantes anime. But until that day comes, we have to stay patient and keep on reading every 2 weeks. So pretty much what I'm getting at is this is your spoiler warning. If you haven't read up, be sure to read it and come on back, because now it's time to head inside and grab ourselves a drink. Welcome to the bar, folks. Man, this chapter really did its job of telling a parallel story to Koichi's current predicament. When I was reading the prior chapter, I was really kind of confused as to what Knuckle Duster's position was in this entire arc. I mean, I really didn't understand how he got to where he was, how he understood the situation, but then I realized that this guy is pretty much everywhere behind the scenes. Knuckle Duster just kind of operates as a complete and total enigma. You don't know when he's going to appear, and when you think he's gonna appear, he doesn't. And to be honest, that's one of the best parts of his character, just that moment of when he appears and you're just on the edge of your seat freaking out. But opposed to other things, that's what this chapter really tried to hammer home, that Knuckle Duster is here and number 6 ain't getting away. But let's head over to the wall right now because I actually want to talk a little bit more about number 6's origin story. Okay, so before we get into the beating of a lifetime that number 6 is receiving, I really want to talk more about his backstory, because in this chapter, we actually finally got a nice chunk of All for One and the Good Doctor talking about number 6. And the thing that really kind of stood out to me was the very first panel of this flashback, which was number 6 staring at himself in a mirror. They say that he suffers from a congenital brain defect called agnosia, and they don't know if it's stemming from a congenital defect or maybe a childhood injury, but either way, what agnosia is actually, it's easier if I just use this. Okay, see this bag of popcorn right here? Somebody with agnosia would know that this is a bag of popcorn, but if I asked them what the bag was for, they wouldn't know that it's for holding popcorn. Even if the bag is holding popcorn, that's a visual form of agnosia. Number 6 has agnosia, but the part of the stimuli that's missing is his awareness, his sense of self. And this is me just kind of theorizing at this point, but my guess is the way that he looks right here in this particular panel where he's holding his hand to the mirror, I see that as his true reflection is what he looks like. But the fact that we see him as a blobless number 6, that's how he sees himself. And what really kind of got me in this scene was, in a way, it tried to almost turn number 6 into a sympathetic villain. And I don't want to say that I pretty much saw this one coming, but more or less, this is the same type of parallel that's playing out in My Hero Academia right now. Because the most recent fight that happened between Shigaraki and Deku, it culminated with Deku realizing that Shigaraki is a hostage within his own body. And in the end, it's a sincere possibility that Shigaraki could end up being Deku's biggest ally in the fight against All for One. Either way, number 6's entire existence was that of a science experiment. And this chapter all but confirms that Dr. Garaki and All for One are running a farm of experiments trying to figure out if they can create the perfect vessel for One for All. And what we see is that All for One was able to create a vestige of himself inside of the mind of number 6 and then turn that vestige into O'Clock. So number 6 in turn would think that he's being trained by O'Clock his entire life, which is some JoJo's Bizarre Adventure level of fuckery. I swear, if the next thing that you tell me is that All for One cut his head off and put it on the second user of One for All, I'm tapping out of this series. Oh, and the reason why I'm saying that this is a flashback from the point of view of number 6 is because the next panel is number 6 getting his face he's pushed in 7 ways sideways by Knuckle Duster. And Knuckle Duster isn't even giving him a chance to think. And to be quite honest, to see him meticulously go through everything in the beginning of the chapter to make sure that this event plays out exactly the way that he wants to is crazy. This guy has a bum leg and no eye and was already 5 steps ahead of number 6 and Koichi. He knew exactly where the fight was going to play out and where the end game was going to happen. And when I was doing my review for chapter 110, I was saying one thing very clearly. I needed chapter 111 to be an absolute hellish beatdown from Knuckle Duster. And we got just that, to the point where Knuckle Duster was beating the shit out of number 6 when number 6 was panicking and turning back into his previous self. In fact, when he turns back into his previous self, Knuckle Duster continues his onslaught because now he's like, ooh, now you're soft, I'm gonna continue beating the shit out of you even more. Like, to even set the tone for this fight, it began with a Superman punch off of a roof of a building, and number 6 starts melting down in a crazy kind of way, asking why Koichi over him. All that number 6 ever wanted was to become O'Clock, and Knuckle Duster kind of breaks it down for him by saying, hey, yeah, you took my quirk, but you never knew about my brains or my character. And he emphasizes that every good part of him now has just been passed on to other people, so the only thing that he has to give to number 6 is his life. And Knuckle Duster pulls out another detonator. This is the same type of way that he tried to deal with number 6 during the Sky Egg debacle, and number 6 got away. So honestly, I kinda don't know how I feel about Knuckle Duster breaking out another detonator to deal with number 6. The last time Knuckle Duster did something like this, he lost an eye and permanently has to use a cane, so I don't understand why he thinks blowing himself up once again would be a right countermeasure for number 6. And that's where it kind of brings me to my theory for chapter 112. I personally would like to see Knuckle Duster get saved by Koichi. About a year ago, when he wrote that letter to Koichi telling him that he was his hero, this is the moment right here where Koichi proves it even further. My second theory is the very last panel in the chapter is Knuckle Duster's daughter looking up at the sky and seeing a shooting star. Now, easy enough, we can interpret this as Knuckle Duster is truly dead, or we can interpret it as that shooting star is actually All Might soaring through the sky, arriving in Naruhata. Or even more so, it could be representing that Koichi has achieved a speed level where he actually is able to save Knuckle Duster from that bomb. I think it's more likely that it possibly could be All Might in this situation, because Soga appearing on the motorcycle, he's just gonna tell Koichi to head back towards the hospital and he'll take off to go get All Might. And to be honest, this is where I think that Miyu plotline might be heading. My guess is, after the bomb goes off and number 6 and Knuckle Duster are reeling from it, Knuckle Duster is saved by Koichi, but then you have this decrepit and blown up number 6 who's looking for any way to possibly escape, and what does he see? He sees Miyu, so he grabs Miyu and tries to use her as a hostage, and Koichi uses his shooty go kablam to snipe number 6 in whatever way, shape, or form. And to be quite honest, that's just me spitballing a super predictable ending. The fact of the matter is though, Miyu running out like that is such a red herring for someone to turn into a hostage. I still am holding out for the moment that the people of Naruhata come to the Crawler's aid when Tsukauchi tries to arrest him at the end of this arc, but honestly that's something that we could probably look forward to happening around December at this rate. Either way, with it looking like this arc is wrapping up, the future of Vigilantes is looking pretty bleak. We don't know whether or not after this number 6 debacle the series will truly end, because they really haven't kind of elaborated on whether or not this was the final arc of the series. I don't understand why they really don't celebrate the fact that this is one of the most successful spin-offs that Shonen Jump has ever seen. A lot of stories have come and gone from Shonen Jump Plus since the series started, and I totally believe that Vigilantes has enough of an audience to become an anime, and if it did become an anime, those that were anime only for My Hero Academia would be blown away to find out that there is another story to be told. So my questions to you all for the comments section is 2 things. 1, do you think that number 6 is a bit of a sympathetic villain now that we know that he's so banged up in the head? And do you think that it's possible that Vigilantes will ever just get an anime? Not even just merge into My Hero Academia, but just get its own anime at this point. Let me know your thoughts down below, and until next time, be not defeated by the rain. Cheers.